Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
All right, welcome to another episode of Pets Add Life. I am Chris, joined as always by the absolutely, positively lovely and intelligent Kristen Levine. Kristen, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, and it's almost Valentine's Day, so I'm curious to know what you've got planned for Hope.
We have nothing planned quite yet. We usually play Valentine's Day pretty low-key. We'll go to a restaurant or something like that. I'm sure she already... Here's a tip for all the men out there, because... There's always, I found in a relationship, that thing where you go, well, what do you want to do, or where do you want to go to eat? And it's always like an I don't know, and then you end up into like an I don't know off. Here's a tip.
Oh yeah.
You say, I'm going to take you to a restaurant, and then they're going to say, oh, which one? And you're going to say, guess. And then whatever they guess, say they're right, and then make a reservation. It is foolproof. It is foolproof.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. Yep. Because nobody ever wants to be the decider, right? And make the other person in the relationship upset. So here's a little piece of romantic advice from your local podcast host. Yeah. Which is what you should be doing. If you need relationship advice, you should be tuning into the
listening to Pets Add Life.
We've got a couple of little Valentine's Day treats lined up for you all, but as always, we'll be doing 2 stories, interviewing 2 guests, talking about 2 great products, and at the end, we're going to answer 2 of your pet-related questions. This is not Dr. Love, though. Write it down. Spin-off episode. Spin-off series. Chris and Kristen give people relationship advice. Horrible relationship advice. Just some of the worst.
Well, I don't know. We're both happily married, so maybe we'd be good at it.
I happened into that purely by chance.
No talent involved.
No skill involved. By pure bubbling charisma and just a lackadaisical sense of luck.
Oh gosh.
And Hope, if you're out there, I hope you know I try my best. I hope you know I try my damn best, but you're stuck with me for the next forever, so deal with it.
Well, for those listeners who are here for the pet stories and advice and guests, let's jump into our story time.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
All right, Kristen, do you want to lead off this story time, or would you like me to go first?
I'll lead it off.
Okay.
My story is that I came across this really cool program. It's called the Dog Adoption Success Program. And the whole idea behind it is it's intended to help keep dogs who've been recently adopted in those homes and out of shelters. And, I started my career in the pet world at the SPCA of Tampa Bay. And this time of year, like February, actually January, February, March, we would see a lot of puppies return to the shelter that were given as gifts for Christmas. And typically it was because the people really weren't prepared for the responsibility and all of the effort, training, and so on and so forth that is really required to bring a puppy into the home. So this program is really cool because it teaches people what to expect in the first 3 days, 3 weeks, and 3 months of adopting a new dog. It doesn't have to be a puppy. It could be really, an adult dog as well. So I think this is a really great resource, and you can buy it outright, the program, but also I read that a lot of shelters have adopted this program and offer it for free once you adopt a dog. So I think that's a really great idea. Dog Life is the name of the company. And I think if you're having trouble with the puppy that you adopted or purchased for the holidays, definitely get your hands on this resource.
That's great. Yeah, all sorts of great stuff out there for people who are just beginning their journeys with pets. So don't be afraid to ask and look for help.
What's your story?
We're going back to Chris B, the Science G here, because I saw a really interesting one. And I'm going to put this article in the show notes because there's a lot here. But the headline or the title of the science article is that coyote genes may show urban evolution at work. And I thought this was a really cool story to cover because a couple episodes ago, we talked to that professor from Liverpool who talked about how moving dogs to an urban environment has drastically changed their personalities. And this study is showing, because coyotes' genes are more pure. Dogs, we have basically, with dogs, we have cultivated their gene pool to be what we needed it to be over the past tens of thousands of years to create the perfect companion. We haven't done that with coyotes. So there's a group who's doing, I think it's called like selective gene analysis, which is basically looking at what they call candidate genes and analyzing them and the changes and what's becoming more prevalent. And they found, they studied coyotes in the Bronx, New York, and Berkeley, California, and they're seeing that normally when we talk about evolution, we're talking thousands and thousands of years, but they're seeing changes take place over just a couple of generations. And coyotes live to be like 10 or 12. So like that is in like 20 to 30 years, they're actually seeing measurable changes in the genetic structure of coyotes.
Wow.
I just thought that was like a really cool thing to bring up when we were just talking about the urban impact on animals. And now here we have probably, I'm a fake scientist. I'm no scientist, but I do play one on TV. I think coyotes are pretty damn close to dogs genetically. So it's a really cool insight to how things could have gone with dogs and the way that urban lifestyles may be changing them. So if you're like me and love to nerd out over little scientific discoveries and see what these super, super crazy smart people are up to and maybe support their work, go ahead and check out that link.
Awesome.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
All right, joining us now is Darlene Woodward, an acclaimed pet photographer and positive dog trainer whose journey began with Kota, a rescued Husky mix who profoundly shaped her life. From struggling with Kota's reactivity to becoming a certified trainer, Darlene found her calling in capturing the essence of pets through photography. Her passion for northern breeds and her love for winter, freak, have led her to create breathtaking images of dogs in snowy backdrops. With over 7 years of experience photographing hundreds of pets and supporting shelters and rescues across New England, Darlene brings a unique blend of artistry, compassion, and expertise to the pet community. And perfect timing because we are having this ridiculous cold snap across the Northeast. So it's great to have you on, Darlene.
Chris, thank you so much. And thank you so much for that intro. And I was getting a little teary-eyed when you mentioned my dog Kota.
Well, we're going to keep those we're going to keep those tears going because I want to jump off with some of that background on Kota. And so, Kota obviously played a huge role in shaping your path. Can you talk a little bit about their inspiration to you and why you decided to pick up the camera and turn that into a career?
Definitely. So I had a huge career change. I was a flight attendant for 16 years, and I went from traveling the world to rescuing this project dog. My husband and I rescued Kota in 2011, and she wasn't an easy dog. She was a dog that would have been euthanized. And I went through several trainers who had wanted to use some punishing methods on her as a puppy that didn't sit right with me. So at that time, I said, you know what, there's a better way. I'm going to learn everything I can about dog training to help this dog. And I went and got certified to dog train, started my own dog walking business, training business, worked with Kota, took an early retirement from flying. And then I picked up the camera because to me, it was the most beautiful dog in the world. And we all think dogs
Of course.
But, and they are. We're all right when we say that. But she was so photogenic. And through her, I just became obsessed with taking the pictures and taking the photos of her, which led to adding that into my dog training business. And eventually I just went full-time pet photography a few years ago. And I did say goodbye to her about 2 years ago. And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do because she was my soul dog, my heart dog, my inspiration to everything I do now. I didn't think I would ever be able to pick up a camera again, but I realized shortly after losing her, that was about the only thing I could do. Mm-hmm. And I always feel like she's been there with me through everything.
Part of her legacy now is your work. Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing how a dog can inspire us to a new career?
So true.
I think that's pretty cool. Now let's talk more about winter. You said winter is your favorite your favorite season for photography. And tell us what makes winter so special, and how do you ensure both pets and owners are comfortable during the chilly seasons when we're doing these photo shoots?
Yes. And winter isn't for everyone, and it shouldn't be for everyone. And I didn't love winter until rescuing Kota and having a winter dog who loved being outside through, negative degrees, the wind chills and all that. So she got me outside doing those fun winter things. And we did a lot of snowshoeing together. That was our favorite activity. Put on the snowshoes, head out. We'd have trails right behind us, and we would go head out on the trails. And then just when it comes to photography, that peacefulness in the winter, something about that golden light, and there's golden light all year round, but something about winter and that, I don't know, it's just extra special and glimmery and shimmery that I just became a little bit more obsessed with it. And photographing those dogs who love winter with all that joy and that environment just made it even extra special.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It definitely does make sense. And I have a bit of a follow-up question with the photography.
Yes.
I looked at some of the pictures, and you do such a great job of capturing a dog's unique personality. So how, as a photographer, do you bring that out in the photo sessions?
Thank you. That is a great question. And as you've seen, if you've seen my work, I am more outdoor photographer. I feel dogs outside are more in their element and they can kind of be themselves. And one thing with photos too, when it comes with working with dogs, I would rather photograph a dog in their backyard where they're most comfortable and can be them than going to an epic location, which those are beautiful. Epic locations, beautiful landscapes, it all makes for great photos. But sometimes if you're right in their own environment, in their backyard where they could run around, play with their toys, be in their fenced in yard, let them off leash, you can really capture that spirit that they do have. So I love doing that with them.
Yeah. And Darlene, I know that you've contributed a lot to helping shelters and rescues with your photography. Can you tell us one or two memorable moments from working with adoptable dogs?
Oh my goodness. Oh, adoptable. Yeah, I started with working with a shelter dogs, probably when I was dog training. I was dog training at our local MSPCA. I trained classes there, and then I started photographing some of the shelter dogs. But this one's popping up in my head because I'm going back to now 2011 when I photographed this one little dog for holiday portraits. She was adopted. I followed her throughout the years. She was in a book that I had self-published. She's been part of projects I've done over the years and, became close with her owner. And she recently passed away. And I myself went back to those rescue photos that I took and then her whole journey. And something about that is just so extra special because I've met these dogs while they were looking for their forever homes and then can kind of follow them and continue their journey to, while they're living in their homes. Yeah.
That's really special. Yeah. To be a part of and really see that evolution. I have another sort of photography related question here. I'm sure we have a lot of aspiring and amateur photographers listening to the show who want to take better pictures of their pets. I know that when I take a picture of my cat, I get the same pose and the same attitude every single time.
Yep.
And cats are a little different, okay? Like you're not going to get a cat to do anything the cat doesn't want to do. But do you have any tips for people who want to take better pet photographs, whether they're doing it for like a little holiday card or just to stock memories. Since you talk about how important those are when, sort of looking back on your journey with your pet.
Definitely. Great question too. Our cell phones today can do amazing things.
Yeah.
So I tell people, take out the cell phone, use it. They take wonderful pictures. So the big thing is get down as low as you can on the ground. And if you can't think you can get lower, get lower. A good photo of a pet is you want to be at their level. Like you want to be part of their environment. So hence when I do photo sessions, I have rain and waterproof gear over all my clothing because I'm lying pretty much on the ground most of the time. So we want to get at their level to take those pictures. And a lot of times people do think treats are what is going to get their attention. Like, oh, food. And a lot of dogs are foodie, but what happens when you use treats to get a dog's attention, they pay more attention to your hand and they become obsessed with that and more foodie, whereas noises, unique sounds are really what are going to capture the dog's attention. That's how you're going to get that little head tilt, that little kind of the ears going up. And I use a lot of noisemakers from coyote collars, different duck collars, unique sounds, which now you can even get on your cell phone. And that's a great way to get your dog to look at you during that brief moment. You can capture the image.
That is a great tip. I know it's frustrating sometimes when your dog is hyper focused on the treat. Hey, I just have to take this opportunity to show. This is a photo I took of my dog Chili in the snow. Whoops, I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
I mean, it's not great. It's not that, his face isn't
It's beautiful
terribly in focus, but as you know, it's hard to photograph black pets, right? So I found the snow to be such a great background. And Chili crossed the Rainbow Bridge a few years ago, but I just love this photo of him. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of the snow pics too.
It's beautiful. And like you said, with the black dog, makes a beautiful backdrop, that contrast, that white, which would even, work in color black and white photos. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. And I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. Let me let's wrap things up with this question. A little bit different question. I know that you have experience with reactive dogs.
Yes.
So what do you do when you're working with a dog that has anxiety, fear, or reactivity? How do you relax them for the photo shoot and capture their true personality?
Yes, another good question. That's what I would first recommend. Like I was saying, doing the photos right in their backyard where they're most comfortable. I have worked with dogs who are people reactive too. And I use longer lenses where I can stay at a distance. So what happens in that type of session, we'll let the dog be themselves. I'm not going to do as much posing. We're going to let them be a dog, whether run around, do their own thing in the backyard. And then I'm going to take my longer lens and work at a distance from them. And if they want to approach me, that's all on their terms. Bless you. I am there not to be their dog's friend. I'm there to make the dog most comfortable and safe.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I love that we have the snowy background in the window behind you. Like,
right? It's like
very on theme.
Glitches, right? On theme.
Very on theme.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, Darlene, thank you so much for taking the time today to join us and share some of your work and wisdom. I think you're right. The cell phones are amazing. Everybody, when you have a pet, you're an amateur photographer at the least, right? It's just the way it is. So some of those tips are very, very, very useful. And we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate it.
Great meeting you.
You too. Have a good day.
So for our flight attendants who are listening, you too can become a dog photographer. I love that career change.
Yeah, that's a big switch. And listen, if you're a photographer, you could always become a flight attendant.
That's true. Hey, I did want to mention when we were prepping for the show, I found Darlene's Instagram page. It's called Pant the Town Photography. And there's some really great examples of her work there. So if you're interested, check her out on Insta.
Pets add life.
Oh, what a treat we have for you now. Skylar Crook is the creative force behind Wufers, the beloved brand that has refined the way we celebrate life's special moments with our furry friends. As the director of marketing, Skylar channels her passion for pets and creativity into curating a delightful range of gourmet dog treats that bring joy to dogs and their humans alike. Now, Wufers is dedicated to making life's celebrations inclusive for four-legged companions from birthdays to holidays. Wufers' hand-designed, freshly baked treats are a feast for the eyes and the taste buds, crafted with human-grade, locally sourced ingredients that are safe as they are delicious. Based in Ontario, Canada, Wufers completely. That's not what this says. Wufers continues artistry and flavor to create dog treats that make every moment memorable. And let me just stop reading and welcome Skylar.
Reading is hard. Welcome,
Reading is
Skylar.
hard.
Reading is hard.
No, you did a great job. I would have been just as bad.
So tell us, Skylar, Wufers has become a really beloved brand for pet parents across North America. Can you give us a little bit of background on the inspiration behind Wufers and how it all began?
Yeah. So Wufers is actually kind of just the love child, if you will, of a business that we already kind of have on the B2B side. It's called Bosco and Roxy's. And Bosco and Roxy's was founded by my family. This is a family-owned business. We own a dog kennel that's like a resort. And we essentially were like, what other cool things can we offer for resort guests? And these cookies kind of were the idea. They were like, why don't we just do some cookies? So my mother, my father, and I were like, oh, let's make some cookies. And it kind of just grew legs and walked away from us there. And now, so that is Bosco and Roxy's. And then Wufers is kind of its baby sister that focuses on our direct-to-consumer effort. So Bosco and Roxy's is a brand you can purchase for your store, inside of a pet store or any sort of kind of like medium-sized store. And then Wufers is kind of your brand that you would find on the internet and kind of directly to your door. If you wanted to order treats and kind of not leave your house or whatever, you can go to woofers.com and just order it straight to your door.
Awesome. So Wufers, what kind of sets it apart are these locally sourced human-grade ingredients that are safe for pets to eat, because you can't just go get like a Entenmann's off the shelf and feed it to the dog. That would not end well for anybody. So can you walk us through a bit of the process in, kind of what goes into developing a recipe that is safe for a dog and is a quality product?
Yeah, so one of the main things is our treats do not have any preservatives in them. That's a main call out I'd like to kind of add to just any baked treat in general. When you want to go for like a long shelf life or make it last a long time, preservatives are usually a member of your ingredient deck, but that is not the case for a Wufers treat. So we have a very special kind of drying process that we put our treats through that allow us to kind of get that 24-month shelf life that everyone loves to kind of keep them. But it's a very safe way to do so. So none of that's included on the deck there. That would be my main call out, is watching for the types of preservatives that you can find in some of those treats. And in terms of the human grade aspect to our treats, we source all of our ingredients from human food manufacturers. So that's what that means. So we're contacting food suppliers for grocery stores and for other human businesses. And when they provide, for example, applesauce is one of the things we use in our baked treats. We're buying applesauce from a grocery store's supplier, essentially. And that's done with all of our ingredients.
So Skylar, I have baked dog treats at home before, and my dog likes them, but they're always really ugly. So can you like, they're misshapen and like one side bubbles up, the other side doesn't. So can you maybe share some tips for anyone who wants to make dog treats at home? What goes into making treats look as visually desirable as they are yummy for dogs?
Yeah, I would say, it's a very similar process to essentially cutting cookies like a gingerbread. So if you're making cookies for your family with a gingerbread dough or a shortbread dough, it's very similar to the kind of like dough that our treats are made out of. So we cut them just like you would cut regular human cookies. We mix them in a mixer just like regular human cookies and things. But where the cookies kind of get their character is like the amount of color we have. We enrobe them fully in this like confectioner's glaze, which we kind of use colorings to paint a story. And I think that we never really leave any left on the table. We'll always go all out. Every design has got 4 colors. It's got layering. It's got, kind of that human touch. And we always design kind of with a human eye. We always put them through a very scrutinizing voting process. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of fun. We also eat them, but we also look at them. And so it's definitely a combination of just the palettes we kind of come up with, and then we storyboard the palettes, and we kind of.
Oh my gosh, I am so not doing that at home.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm out.
It's a bit of a lift. It's a bit of a lift for sure. But Bulk Barn does sell those little yogurty treats that are pre-colored. I would start there just to kind of get all the colors ready to go.
You lost me at storyboarding.
You're like, no, we don't.
Yeah, we're not doing that here.
No.
But so. Skylar, our relationship with pets is certainly evolving as, dogs are sort of becoming proxy children for a lot of people in our generation there. And it's clear that you guys put a lot of effort into the way these treats look. And I don't speak for all dogs, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think dogs care about the way the treat looks. They care if it tastes good.
They care.
So can you talk a little bit about the evolving culture in pets and this sort of desire for pet parents to include their dogs in some of our traditions and celebrations?
Yeah, 100%. We are playing on an emotion very similar to what it looks like to walk into a coffee shop and see a donut. That is exactly what Wufers is doing for you. So yes, you're completely right when that treat is not decorated for the dog at all. We are fully geared to the human psyche when wanting to speak to kind of this impulse buy. And Wufers thrives in kind of exactly that impulsive, oh my gosh, that's so cute, I want to grab that. Like, oh, his birthday's in a week, I'm going to grab that. But yeah, in terms of speaking to the connection that dogs are increasingly becoming a very much a valued member of family instead of, a pet. 1 in 3 people in North America own a dog. And that's higher than we've ever seen. Yeah. Kind of in any, you would have asked us 15, maybe 25 years ago. It wasn't like that. And now it is. So we're even seeing, big box kind of carry a larger pet array than what you would have seen normally in kind of your Krogers or your Sobeys or your Metros. So it's an exciting time to be in the pet industry for sure. And I have 2 fur babies of my own and I can't explain it. It just comes over me. You see it and you're like, oh my God, they need that. They need that in their life. And I want that in my life. And I think that's why. I
totally agree. Yeah. I think 10 years ago, if you asked somebody, do you get a birthday cake for your dog? People would be like, what the heck are you talking about? But now it's like, oh, do you, like for me with my cat, it's like, do you get a birthday cake for your cat? Absolutely. Right. That's my princess. Yeah. Of course she gets a birthday cake. It's just crazy how much the culture is moving.
100%. Yeah, and I think it's so brilliant that you guys added the treats to your resort business, because can you imagine walking your pet into the resort and you smell cookies baking? I mean, that would, as a pet parent, that would make me feel so good about leaving my dog with you guys. Before we let you go, since you're in the treat biz, and can you give us an idea of what's evolved for those of us who like to buy treats and not make them at home? Where are trends? Where is the treat trend headed next?
Yeah, I think it is still kind of one of those major points is quality. Quality is always something that will be at the forefront of the market, where we might see ebbs and flows in like price sensitivity or different kind of elaborate, like how much effort or cost of these treats may fluctuate. We even had a bit of a grain-free movement that started about 5 years ago, and it kind of ebbs and flows. And now we're seeing different coloring research come out, but in forefront of everything and what what we strive to keep at the base of Wufers is like we are using quality first, and we are ethically sourcing where those ingredients are coming from and the labor that goes into kind of the love of these cookies. So that's something that is here to stay for Wufers, especially, and for B&R. And that's something I would employ pet parents to kind of call out while they're shopping the shelves. There's so many more options nowadays, so many more things to try, and so many different types of things to try more than ever. But I would always say quality first, and then kind of where was it sourced, and who's the face behind making that beautiful treat for your pet, or as kind of those main here forevers. I don't think those will be going away anytime soon.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Absolutely great advice. And one last time before we hang up, where can people go find Wufers for their special furry companion?
Yeah, so Wufers, you can go straight to just woofers.com. We're available in Canada and the US. And if you enjoy Amazon Prime, like most of us do, we are also on there. You can find all of our Valentines and other products on Amazon.
Awesome. All right. Well, Skylar, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us. Have a happy Valentine's Day. Thanks, care
Skylar.
of your two little fur babies. Give them a nice snuggling treat for us.
Yes. And to you as well, guys. Thank you so much.
Pets add life.
Well, she has a dream job.
Yeah, I didn't know you've tried to make your own dog treats before. That is a fun fact.
Yeah, I did it, and I took pictures like for Instagram, and it was embarrassing.
I remember when I first started my tenure in the pet industry, and I went to my first Global Pet Expo, and I saw a booth that said, like, you could try our dog biscuits, and because they're human grade.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, let's give this a whirl, expecting something that was going to taste like a people cookie, and then I ate it, and it didn't taste like a people cookie. No. And I was sad. But it's mostly because there's no sugar, right? You can't give your dogs refined sugars and stuff like that. It's really bad for their teeth. So you heard
you would fall for that.
Yeah, I fell for it like a sucker, like instantly. And that's back when I was like 23 as well. So I was like super naive. But you heard Skylar talk about like using applesauce and like those other alternative ingredients and things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, sweet potatoes too make good ingredients. But whatever you do, whether you bake them or buy them, don't forget your pet on Valentine's Day.
The product of the week.
All right, folks, it's time for the product of the week.
What is that?
That's like the air horn that like DJs use.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't very.
I'm gonna shake the pom poms.
It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. No. You're a much better cheerleader than I'd be a DJ. We'll say that. Well, I'll go ahead and kick things off, Kristen. I've got another economic product here, just priced at $10, and obviously you could probably hear it in my voice a little bit. Like, just that little bit of nasaliness from being stuffy. Winter coat on the cat. It's all over the clothes. It's all over the sweatshirt. I've been in like my like seasonal depression mode where when I'm working at home, I'm wearing the same hoodie every day. You know what I mean? Like, come on, everybody, you all do it. Don't judge me. You all do it. So it's covered in cat hair. And I was looking for a product. We've talked about like Uproot Clean and a bunch of these brushes, but they're not really good for your clothes. That's more for like your rugs and your furniture and stuff. Something to get it off my clothes. And I found a washable gel-based lint roller. And this thing's really cool. It comes in a little container, and it's like you know, like the Baby Bell cheeses, and you take the little wax and you get half of it. It's kind of like that. You take off half of it, and you have a grip, and then a gel ball, and you roll it up against, right, and it gets all the hair right off. And then you pop it out, run it under a sink, and the hair comes off. Dry it off. It's ready to be used again.
That's cool. That's kind of like, don't they make stuff like that, gel to clean your car, like your dashboard?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. My mind was blown because I hate the paper ones because trying to get it off, a tear on the periphery, miserable time. So again, I found it. The link on Amazon. It's from a company called Tecague. I'm not sure. I don't think they just do pet. I think they're more of like a house sundries type thing. But check it out. $10. Solve all your pet hair problems. Why not?
Yeah. Can't afford not to try that.
Can't.
All right. So my product is, I know last week I mentioned that February is Pet Dental Health Month, and I talked about a cat dental product. So I thought I should, have an equal opportunity for dog dental health too. So, and just real quick, periodontal disease, bad, very bad, can lead to not only tooth problems for your dog, but also internal issues if they have a lot of that plaque and gingivitis buildup. So I discovered, and Chris, you're going to like this because this is very sciencey. It's called the Doggy Biome Oral Health Test. And essentially, you can find out what's going on in your dog's mouth with this at-home test that uses state-of-the-art DNA sequencing technology to detect bacterial imbalances and the presence of harmful bacteria before symptoms occur. So I'm thinking this is pretty cool. You could do this test at home and then take the results into your vet to, as part of your kind of annual wellness visit, so that your vet can actually see what kind of bad bacteria activity is happening inside the mouth. Is it time for a dental cleaning, or can we wait another 6 months to a year? So I thought that was pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's from Animal Biome, I believe is the company, but it's called the Doggy Biome Oral Health Test.
The fact that you could do science like that at home, awesome.
Pretty cool.
It's so cool. Like, imagine showing that to somebody like in the year 1901, being like, hey, like their mind would be blown. They'd be like, what's DNA? What's a bacteria?
Right.
It's great. It's absolutely, and it's available for your pets. That's not even a person product.
Yeah, exactly.
It's for pets. Really, really, really cool product, Kristen.
Q&As.
Okay, pals, it's time for our favorite part of the show. That's right. We're going to answer 2 burning questions from our wonderful listeners. And I know what you're thinking. How do I get my question answered by Chris and Kristen? Well, it's easy, folks. You head on over to petsadlife.org/podcast, fill out that form. Or if you're feeling as brave as Chris was when he decided to try the dog food, you could record a voice memo and have your question played live on your favorite podcast. So without further ado, let's get to today's questions. I've got one here. Or you want to read mine first?
Oh, yeah, I'll read yours.
All right,
let's. I got it pulled up. This one's from Sarah in Austin, and she says, if there's an emergency, how do I determine whether I need to rush my pet to a clinic immediately, or is it something that can wait? I often worry that I might overreact. Worse, not act quickly enough. Can you share any signs or situations where immediate care is essential? That's a really great question.
Yeah, so, this is a fantastic question, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it on air or not off air, but Tiger just went to the vet, and I got a same day appointment. So here's one thing. I'm imagining that imagining in my head that Sarah is a millennial and is afraid of making phone calls like I am, because that's what millennials are. Just call your vet. They will pick up and answer your questions right then and there. Almost always.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
That's one. Don't be afraid to just call and say, I'm seeing this kind of behavior. How quickly should I be bringing my pet in? Number 2, have 2 care providers. We have our veterinarian, and then we have an emergency vet. And I have both their numbers written down and in my phone and stuff like that. So now I know where to go for the vet. I know where to go if the vet tells me that this is an emergency, I know where to go already. Mm-hmm. Number 3, know your pet and weird behavior. Any blood ever, that's an emergency. Any nonstop vomiting of any sort, animals throw up, right? And if your dog or cat just goes and throws up their meal because they ate too fast, they're fine. But if they spend a solid 30 minutes throwing up everything that they have in their stomach, that's an emergency. For cats specifically, this is something you see a lot that a lot of people don't know is an emergency. If they're going to the box really often and not actually peeing, it's a pretty common emergency, a urinary tract blockage that can cause some life-threatening and really uncomfortable situations for your cat. All that said, if you notice something different and you're like, my animal is acting different, call your vet, your normal veterinarian, talk to either the vet tech. Typically, the veterinarian, the doctor is quite busy, but they have plenty of techs who can hear what's going on and tell you need to go to an animal emergency room. You need a same day appointment, or we could schedule you in for a couple of days. So in my case, Tiger had blood in her urine. I called and they got me in that same day. Tiger got a shot. She's fine now and everything's good. But the panic I felt, very real. Sure. Very, very, very real. So it's good that you're thinking of these things. Have a plan, know where to go, and don't be afraid to pick up that phone and have a conversation.
Great advice, especially the part about having those, numbers in your phone ahead of time, so you're not scrambling to find them if you need it.
Yes. Yeah. Always good to be. I love being prepared. So, all right, Kristen.
So what you got for me?
I've got another question from Portland, Oregon. Kristen, we're huge in Portland. We're huge in Portland. They love us over there. This is from Michael. And Michael says, my dog seems to have constant ear trouble. He's always shaking his head and scratching at his ears. Could this be a sign of an infection or something else? What's the best way to approach this? And are there steps I can take to prevent it from happening again?
Well, good. I'm glad you shared this question, Michael, because it's a relatively common issue that affects dogs. And yes, your question about what could it be an infection? It could be. This is one of those that basically I'm going to say you probably need veterinary attention. But let me break it down a little bit about how some dogs, like what's causing certain ear problems in dogs. It could be allergies. It could be a yeast or a bacterial infection. It could be ear mites. It could be excessive moisture that's causing them to itch, or maybe the skin is, either peeling or dried. But you don't know what it is really until you see the vet. So I suggest you call your vet, make an appointment, because once you get a proper diagnosis, then you'll know exactly how to treat it. And as far as prevention, and obviously your vet can talk to you about prevention as well, but make sure you're taking a look at your dog's ears, every day. Like when you're just petting them or grooming them, that's a great opportunity to take a peek in the ears. There are also lots of great products on the market, ear wipe products that are just little pads that you can easily clean out your dog's ears. You want to keep them clean. And then if it's caused by an allergy, you might not be able to see it coming on. You might, once your dog is exposed to that allergen, then the problem is going to flare up pretty quickly. So definitely talk to your vet about it. It's not uncommon, so don't feel like this is an unusual problem, and it's going to be easily solved once your vet can make a proper diagnosis. But yeah, keep the ears clean. Once he's healed up, keep the ears clean and dry as much as possible.
That is great advice as always, Kristen. And hey, I've got bad news.
Uh-oh. What?
It's the end of our show.
Oh.
That's it. That's it for this week.
That's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
But it was a fun Valentine's show.
We got Valentine's Day in a few days. So, hey, for all the men out there with a significant other and women too, don't forget, especially men, don't forget the flowers. Okay? You dinguses, I'm talking to you right now. Person who's like, oh, I won't forget. Go tell your Siri right now to remind you to go pick up some flowers. Place an order with a local florist. How about that? We always encourage shop local. Find a local florist. Get something. Make it nice. Okay. Don't go to your Stop and Shop and get the $4 bouquet of the saddest roses that the world's ever seen. She's worth it. Okay, she's worth it.
And jewelry's nice too.
There we go. Jewelry's nice too. Woo! Kristen Levine. Diamonds are a girl's best
flowers,
friend.
Jewelry.
Yeah, if we had to choose one, yeah. The flowers die in a week and a half. Right. Diamonds want to make a lasting impression. Yeah. Also, maybe just be nice. Maybe that's also just a thing you could do. Work on being a kind and loving partner. But for all of you lovebirds out there, happy Valentine's Day from all of us at Dog TV and Pal. From us to you, happy Valentine's Day. We'll be back next Tuesday. We never quit. It may be 6 a.m. in a warehouse. We may have filmed 9.5 episodes and 35 interviews today, but we don't quit on you guys. We'll be back every single week. So we'll see you here in a week. Until then, be kind to yourself and be kind to your pets.
Until next time. Untail. Get it? Untail.
I get it.
Okay. Didn't sound like Ron got it.
There's a lot of things Ron doesn't get. There's a lot of things Ron doesn't get.
Pets add life.